TV again. We're back with another little miniature stream inside of the city, and right behind me is the Noreen's house on fire. So this is the big plan, what I had, what I was telling you about for quite a few days, that I had something big for Park Drive, and I wasn't gonna like tell you what it was, but now the sort of like first part of it's out of the way, I can kind of explain a little bit more about it and make you understand more why this huge fire happened, because it might have popped some of you people, however it did kind of fit in with the storyline. So the reason why I interioured Noreen's house, that other stream, was literally because we were going to set it on fire. That was why I interioured it. Other than that, we weren't going to interior it. Like, obviously we were at some point, but we weren't like planning to interior it for a while, because Noreen, you know, didn't really do many scenes in here, and then if she was going to move away to her sister's and leave the show, then we weren't going to interior it because there was no point. However, when we decided to do the fire, we thought it can keep Noreen in it for a bit, the fire can, you know, keep her here for whatever reasons, and then basically what can go down is the thing itself, the you know, fire can hold her back, and then it gave us the chance to kind of do the interior. So I would just like to start off this like stream by saying a huge thank you to everyone what helped in the Park Drive yesterday. I wrote a status on Facebook, just letting people know, and I tagged people in it who had Facebook, and I wrote names, I typed names in for people who didn't have Facebook, but it was the best episode that we had ever recorded. It was the best episode that I ever edited, and it was the best episode of Park Drive that I ever uploaded, and I also starting to think that it's the best YouTube video that I have ever made. It just worked out so right. So you guys are probably wondering, well, what caused this fire, if you haven't seen the episode. If you haven't seen the episode, then I definitely recommend going and checking it out. So basically, as you know, Steve's been going through depression recently, since losing Shirley, which was his mum in the series, who died when she slipped and fell in the river, and she drowned and she didn't come back up, and by the time they got her body out, she was unfortunately already dead, and it led Steve to go in like a kind of depression, but at the same time it kind of made him turn evil, and he thought that everybody was against him, and basically he didn't see any way around living life without his mum, because she basically was always there for him, and then he was always there for her, and he basically expected himself to have a few grey hairs and turn wrinkly before she died, and obviously it was a shock, and he kind of blames Noreen in a way because she was there when Shirley died, and what he wanted to do was he wanted to basically go ahead, and he wanted to basically try and kill himself, but he couldn't do it at his house because he had a workman there, and workmen like Paul and things were going in and out, and obviously like he did, like if it was at his own house, no one really goes to his own house, and at the same time, like, he didn't want to blame Paul, but he didn't really want to blame anybody, so he kind of like came into Noreen's house with a spare key drunk, but the back door was already open, and his plan was to set Noreen's house on fire to kind of get payback, because he kind of feels that she was responsible, but at the same time he wanted to try and kill himself. But he didn't actually realise that Noreen and Lisa were in the house. He thought that the house was alone. He thought that nobody was in. He came through, and you know, obviously Noreen would have been like, "Oh, hello, Steve, love," if she'd have been in here. There was no one in the bedroom, and he went upstairs and he basically set a little fire in one of the bedrooms, and he basically went ahead and set this whole house alight, and it's still on fire because the story is not yet finished. As a matter of fact, throughout this week, I can admit and tell you guys that you are going to see some more episodes. There may be another one today, if not tomorrow, and throughout this week you're going to see repetitive part drives which are all going to be finishing off this story. So typically at the beginning of the week, in the few episodes, you're going to see like yesterday's, maybe if we do one today, you're going to see like the fire carry on. You're going to see the story get told a little bit more when these videos come out, and then basically towards the end of the week, maybe coming into the weekend, you're going to basically see like the more hospital side of things, where like the fire is kind of put out and when people obviously go into the hospital. But there is still a few things I can't tell you yet about this story. I can tell you a lot more than I could a few days ago. Obviously now you know the house sets on fire, which was the main bit, but there's still some secret things which obviously I can't tell you about yet. Obviously I can tell you that Steve set the house on fire because obviously you physically saw it in the episode, and you saw that Lisa went in there to see Noreen because she missed Noreen and she had an argue with Billy, and then you can obviously see that Martin went in because he wanted to try and save Lisa, and even though he's not really best friends with Noreen at the moment, he still obviously wouldn't want her to die, so he kind of went in to save them, but mainly for Lisa, and I really can't tell you much more than that. But all I can really say is a huge thank you to every single person what acted out in it. A huge thank you to Paul, who's played by Steve Meister, who's in the chat party. I'd like to say a big thank you to Stampy Longman 12, Martin Shanahan, who plays Martin in the series, because he helped out a lot. And I'd like to say a very huge thank you to SBSC Jamie Loveridge, who had to go invisible and keep making sure that the fire was lit, because for example if you put things like fire on here, after a while it just burns out if fire spreads not on, or for example because like sandstone doesn't burn in Minecraft that well, so literally after a while of like lighting it on here and stuff, it'll just go out. And obviously we didn't want to make it look like the fire was getting put out, so what we had to do is we had to have Jamie, who was invisible, and he had to basically just put loads of like netherrack around and cobwebs, and he had to just basically keep putting like fire around the house and blowing bits up to make it look realistic, like when Lisa fell through the floor. And I think the downstairs is the sort of best part of the house, I guess you can say. Like the fire itself, like a little bit of wall has like caved in down here. We should actually probably just break a bit down there. You can see there that a bit has corroded here, but the downstairs is really alright, apart from obviously it would be a bit smoky, but it was mainly the upstairs what got caught in the events of the fire, and also like this room got damaged a bit when the floor came through. Same with the kitchen as well. The kitchen's been kind of the kitchen's kind of been damaged a bit, but not too bad. The computer room itself, I think that the computer room is pretty sound. You're pretty safe in, well, I won't say safe because it will be smoky, but it's probably a more safer room than some of the others around the house. But the upstairs is just brutally destroyed, really. There's fire everywhere, there's smoke everywhere, there's sort of like, like you can see here, what would have been bedrooms are just absolutely nothing anymore. Wow. You see where there was a door there, there's just fire near it. Same in here really, where Noreen was packing. You can see that there's a few suitcases just here. You can see there's like a speaker, but you can see the telly's been absolutely smashed and corroded within the fire. You can see the windows gone through, and you can see that like the smoke's come out of the window. And obviously the thing's obviously going to get a whole lot worse, and I can't change it to daytime because it's on like the perfect time. So the daylight cycle's off at the moment, and we're trying to keep it mainly at night because obviously like Minecraft time isn't as long as real life time. So for example, if you wanted to do an hour in real life, by about 10 minutes of that hour, that's probably going to be the whole Minecraft night, and the sun's going to start coming up again. And you want to make it realistic, like most of the episode is based around last night. So for example, like the first episode which you saw yesterday would be based around like 8 at night, 9 at night from onwards, and then the second episode is going to be more like the, I guess you could say like the midnight to the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock kind of thing, and then it'll obviously come back into the next morning, probably not next episode, or maybe around the end of next episode, to the episode after. And it's been told in a really good way. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to Lego Fanhead for playing a part in the series as well, and helping out with this episode. He also did a really good job. He had to come out and kind of like, you know, he was wondering what the noise was, because obviously flames and fire and things smashing, and then obviously he'd smell smoke himself, and obviously if you see from the window there, you'd see like smoke coming around the area. And he'd like be like, what's the noise? And then he'd be like, oh god, the fire. So the first thing he'd done was to go around and knock on Paul, because he knew that Paul had tools, you see. He knew that Paul would have equipment in his van if they had to break any doors down. So he'd go around knocking like mad. And then obviously Paul knows Martin a bit more from fixing his garage, and he knows that it's Noreen's house, which is a relation to Martin. So he'd quickly go and see if like he could find a way to get in and save anyone, and then he'd go ahead and, you know, try and get hold of Martin. And then obviously Martin went in chaotically to go and try and save Lisa, because Billy said to Martin that Lisa stormed off to Noreen's house after the little argument. So you can see it was a really well played out episode. And before you like ask, the world's not being griefed. We obviously just used it for the episode, and what's going to happen after the fire is we're just going to like board the house up, and we're going to make it look like it would have been like closed up after the fire, and obviously like the work would have to be done on it to get it back in shape, ready for living in there again. But I think I'm going to like do away with this house after the episode. So I can tell you that I think I'm going to like, Noreen's going to have to move into a temporary house, but I won't tell you where, because I don't really know where myself yet. But obviously like, you know, I think like she might not be able to afford to have the repairs done, and I think like maybe she'll have to live in a temporary home, providing she survives the fire alright. I mean, you guys don't know whether she'd make it or not. I mean, she's on this roof at the moment in the park drive, and obviously she's on here, but she needs a ladder to get down, obviously, to get back down to the garden. But obviously like, you know, the roof is the safest place at the moment, but obviously like there could, you know, be more things what'll go down in Chinatown. And then obviously Steve. So what about Steve, who started the fire? Where is he? I mean, seriously, where is he? Because he was in the bathroom last time, and he was stuck in this little corner, and what he's going to have to try and do is find a way out. Because now he's like realised that he's made a drastic mistake, as you could tell from when he was shouting help, help, help. So we're gonna have to he's gonna have to try and find a way out. So will he make it? And then obviously Lisa fell through the roof. So has she made it? What's going down? And that's what's so good about this story, that such a dramatic episode has happened yesterday, but yet you still don't know what's going to happen. And that's the effect that I wanted to get, and the editing was so fun to do as well, putting in like an explosion sound effect, and the end bit. I don't know if you guys watched the end bit, but it was basically like Martin had got to Lisa and she wasn't moving, and I basically I split the clip, and I kind of like made it fade into this grey and white, and then I played like a sad song, and I filmed around the house, and it was like in a really sad voice, like it actually like sounded like he was about to cry, and it was kind of like, you know, like Lisa, she's not moving, and I was playing this sad music, and I'm not gonna lie, it may sound daft because it's only like a Minecraft thing, but it sounded so real, and then the screen went black and white and the sad song started, and it actually nearly brought a tear to my eye. I actually couldn't believe it, how real like it sounded. Like you actually got the sound that he was upset. It was really weird, and obviously, like, you know, so I'm really buzzing to record the next part, because the next part is going to be so amazing. But as you can see here, like some of the flames have gone back out again, look, which I put on some of them, but it is starting to look a lot more better now. We're just gonna have to like keep putting some more on, because the house fire is nowhere near done yet. It's gonna get a lot worse, and the thing about it is Steve has kind of made like that decision, which could affect things in a lot worse than he thought. Like he thought he was gonna cause a fire, he was gonna die, and then he wasn't gonna have to like hear anything or deal with all the firefighters and stuff, because he'd already be dead, if you get what I mean. So he'd kind of like think, well, if I'm dead, then obviously they'll know that I tried to kill myself. They'll see that, but obviously I won't be alive to suffer the consequences. But he's ended up surviving. Like there's been no explosion near him, and it scared him. And now, like when he realizes that it's become a lot worse than he thought. Like he thought it was just going to be a little teeny fire what had burn him and kill him. But now he's realized that it's spread across the whole house. More or less, and it started you know, making explosions, and you know, he can hear dogs barking, and he's realised it's alerting people, and now it's going to make him a lot more worried. But yeah, it was definitely the best episode that I have ever recorded in my entire life on YouTube. I really loved that episode. I really did. And yeah, and I've also got a really good plan for next year as well, guys. Not to do with Park Drive or anything on the PlayStation, but basically, you know how like my job is kind of like an electrician and like a electrical person. Well, we have this like electrical supplies. It's kind of like, it's like a huge warehouse store, and every so often they release a huge book. And when I mean a huge book, I mean a huge book. I mean with like sort of over like 3,000 pages. And there'll be anything from like plug sockets to TVs to games consoles to smartphones and tablets, but they have a music section where you'll find anything from DJ controllers to amplifiers to disco lights to smoke machines to actual LED light up DJ booths, like I say, fog machines, snow machines, the liquid for it, microphones, laptop stands to go above DJ decks. Anything you can think of, they have it in this huge book. Like literally anything. and they have over 3,000 pages, and obviously like there's different sections in the book, but there'll be a good 200 pages if not 400 pages just full of music stuff, whether it'll be like guitar amps, whether it'll be like DJ controllers, whether it'll be like bass speakers and stuff for DJ decks, whether it'll be like smoke machines and fog lights, and they even have like, you know, like when you go to like clubs or theatres and they have the spotlights what hang on the little bars from the roof, they even have them in them. And my nan said to me today that if ever you see anything you want with your wages, just go ahead and, you know, just give my granddad some of the money, and next time he's doing an order from there, if I want to put something on, just put something on. And what I'm going to do next year is I'm going to fully kit my shed out into like a DJ / MC studio. Now I had plans to do an MC studio in this shed before, but I didn't have like a sort of set in stone plan about what I wanted to do, but now what I want to do is completely modify it out with like disco lights and you know, sort of like put everything you can think of in there, really, from like DJ decks to sort of like some spotlights, my microphones in there, a little like laptop desk to go above the decks, that type of thing. And I'm absolutely buzzing to do it. Like, I'm really looking forward to doing it. I'm gonna buy a microphone pretty soon though, for like my MCing and stuff, but then when it comes to like, you know, next year when it starts picking up, does the weather, I'm gonna like really start repairing that shed on weekends and stuff like that. So you might see less content coming into the springtime, because I'm gonna put a lot of focus and spend like all afternoon out there, sort of like fixing this shed up and cleaning it out and making sure it's gonna be all okay, and then I'm just gonna keep testing things and move things around and make it the perfect music place, because I've been watching a few videos recently about like people who are DJs and people who are like musicians, MCs, and they always say like, if you want to take your music or your DJing like really further, if you want to like make it professional and do stuff with it, then you've got to save up and get the best equipment. You know, you can sort of start off by installing DJ apps and recording little videos of you rapping in your bedroom, but if you really want to take it further, then you've got to save up and you've got to start collecting all the equipment, and you've got to make it good. And I want to go ahead and make my music industry really good. I want to try and take it more professional, and to do that I want to get all the equipment, so if I set it up in my shed I can practice with it all going. Like if I want to DJ, rather than just sitting in my bedroom and doing a mix, I can go out into the shed and I can have all the disco lights going, and I can make it sound like you're getting the real effect, that you are actually DJing like somewhere, and you can set off the smoke machines and stuff. Same with the MCing as well, you can like stand there and you've got all the lights and you've got the really good bass boosted speakers and stuff like that. And that's what I want to do. So there will be less content in the spring and the summer. It'll mainly more be on the night still. Obviously I'll still be working as well, but when I get my free time, when it's lighter nights, I'm going to go out there and start fixing up the shed a bit more to get it done, to get it looking nice, and then I'm going to go ahead and, you know, be in there a bit once it's done, because at the moment it is a really like just a junk place at the moment, and I really want to sort it out, like literally so badly want to sort it out, so much, like you don't understand what I want to do to it. So the only way is to go ahead and, you know, to go ahead and basically start working in there next year. But obviously I can't do it now because we have all the rain and the showers and, you know, the frosty mornings, and obviously by about 4 o'clock it's dark, and, you know, that type of thing. So I've got to wait till like better weather, but that is going to be the summer project. So I'm going to leave this live stream here as I'm going for some food. Please like, subscribe and comment. I hope you enjoyed today's park drive, if we get one up. If not, it'll probably be tomorrow, hopefully today, and we shall see you all in the next live stream.